Hello, hello. I'm going to start our lesson tonight. Hey, modern ancient, how are you? Right on time. Yeah, almost to affiliate. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be nice. It'll be nice. Hopefully, to unlock some more features that we can use to put this class on even better, to give better lessons. So we are reviewing. Before we get started, we have worked through a ton of stuff from lessons 1 through 7. And the latest ones were finding tactics. And the great question came up. Murph, as usual, asks the great questions, and he asked a great question. He said, sometimes I notice you don't follow your own rules. You launch attacks before you're finished developing. How do I know when to launch an attack before I'm finished developing? And as we talked about on Wednesday, it requires you to have a sense of can I get something, right? Can I get something for nothing? Is there material to be had? Is one of the tactics that I'm learning and I'm watching and I'm looking for, is it going to gain me material? And if it gains you enough material, you have to weigh the balance. Do I want to finish developing and get my king to safety? Or do I have an opportunity here for a quick checkmate? Or maybe to win significant material? Significant would be maybe 2 pawns, 3 pawns for sure, or a piece valued at 3 pawns. 1 pawn, maybe you don't. Maybe with only 1 pawn being offered, you figure, I'll have other chances for free candy. It's more important not to get behind on development. If you make that decision, you are doing exactly what you should against a gambit. Because gambits are designed to give away a pawn for the benefit of speedy development. A classic one back in the day, Morphy would play would be like the King's Gambit, right? I mean, this was the heyday of the time that you would take here, and White would say, "Good, because now I'm going to get a fast development." Well, maybe you try to hold on to that pawn, and I'm just going to keep developing, and you're going to attack, and I'm going to keep developing, and you're going to take, and I'm going to keep developing. I gave up not only a pawn but a whole, knight now, right? I'm going to give up tons of material to keep developing faster, and I'm just throwing the moves out here. But the idea is I'm going to do it so I can get a big attack. I'm going to try to crush you really fast. And so back in the day, it would be like, I'll give away even a minor piece for the chance to checkmate you early in the game. And that's how you can play a game. And so today, when someone offers you a pawn, Queen's Gambit, King's Gambit, or any other gambit that comes to mind, and there are many of them, and why we don't teach gambits up front is because you're playing with a pawn down. And you have to decide, is that pawn enough to slow down my development while my opponent gets to attack? Also, this is why we teach not to bring your queen out early. Because you bring out your queen early, and your opponent gets to attack your queen and make you run, right? And you decide, well, I'll go over here maybe. Can I do that? Let me see, where was I? No, that doesn't work, right? We got to protect the pawn. My bad. So we go here first. Queen runs away. Says, okay, now block. So now I'm ready to develop the bishop. I blocked your queen, but I've developed my knight in doing it. And you say, well, I'll come all the way over here and I'll still attack, right? I mean, this is what we see. And then maybe we get the pawn push. Maybe I ignore that check because now I'm threatening your queen and this pawn. And we've talked about that the other day. We actually saw that in a game. But it could be I develop my queen since I'm going to put my bishop here also. And the idea is that while you're running around with this queen everywhere you might want to go, Black just develops as fast as he can. And he actually gave away nothing. But it's still the same concept, right? If I can give away a pawn and get way ahead in development, it might be worth it to give away 1 pawn so I can get ahead. A really popular opening right now. Thanks, Modern Ancient. One of the popular openings right now that Eric Rosen made popular. I mean, I like play. It's fun, right? It is fun. And you say, well, I don't see the gambit. Remember, he gave away this pawn. And so now, why did White do that? Black do that? He's got one piece developed, White has none, and depending on how White tries to develop now, probably try to protect the pawn, Black gets a pretty quick attack. This is all coming. The bishop's coming. Black gets a quick and nasty attack, and white has to play it just right. Any wrong steps, and white can lose quickly. Could be down quickly. And all for one pawn and all these open lines. So that's the concept of a gambit. And so we are looking for opportunities to attack. And sometimes it's free candy. We have to decide if we want to take the free candy even to slow down development. In this case, we moved the knight 3 times. Right? Move the knight 3 times to win one pawn, basically. But now black is going to develop much faster than white. He has to decide where this goes. He has to decide where this goes. Got a castle. The bishop is going to be here for a while. So black has nice open lines for all of his pieces already, and it's going to be a nice tactical affair. All right. So tonight we're looking for games. We're going to be playing games focusing on the double attack while always remembering everything above it. So we're going to look for free candy. We're going to figure out why our opponent's doing what they're doing. We are going to play chase the king and queen if we can, and we're going to use the pin, the discovered attack. The discovered attack, best form of the discovered attack is actually when it's a double attack, because you take that piece that's uncovering the attack and hopefully attack something else. So that way you win one of those two pieces. And we're going to be looking for the double attack, especially because that's what today is. Today is double attack day. It's the week for double attack. All right, I'm trying some different backgrounds. Yes, discovered attack, Chris. I'm trying some different backgrounds per Chess Wizard told me, you should try some things back there. So we did that. Just so you know, I put in there as an example one of these backgrounds, and this is from a game I created. It's a chess-based card game, believe it or not. Someday I'll tell you guys all about that. So I tried some of those backgrounds, and I even tried one that's a little bit different. I just used some of the things out of the tool. I'm doing great, Chris. Oh, you're talking to Modern Nation. You guys go ahead and keep chatting away. All right, I'm looking for games, guys. Who's going to challenge me to a game to start? And if you guys still like, I hope you do. If you like the simul process, we could do a simul again. But right now, I'm looking to get some games. Thanks, Chris. I'm doing great. Looking to get some games so we can get started. By the way, next Tuesday we have a big game, and I've added to our tournament in Lichess. We're playing a Pershing team, playing my students that I teach online in person, not on Twitch. We are playing our chess club from the area, and we also have 4 live stream. If you join that team, you can play also in that game. So opportunities for you to play in that tournament. And Modern Ancient, I was going to ask you, and you could tell me anytime you like, if you'd like to also put in your team into the tournament. All I have to do is add your team, and we can play. So this is that other background I thought I'd try out. All right, Modern Ancient, we're going to play some chess, and we're going to look for double attacks. Thank you for the challenge. 10 plus 5 is awesome. Hey, you made this rated, Modern Ancient. You're supposed to be casual because I got to talk. You made it rated. Oh, man, now I'm going to have to play really hard. Oh, you like this background? And it's right out of the box. It's just one I tweaked a little bit that they gave. So I'm glad you like it. No, that's okay. You know, it is what it is. I don't know. If you can abort it, go ahead and abort it. I don't know if I can. I think, yeah, we can abort it. All right, try again. Make it casual, though. Just because I want to be able to talk. And the competitive spirit, if it's rated, I'm going to talk, but I'm going to be trying really hard. So I will not talk as much. I'd rather lose on time and be able to give a good lesson. So, yeah, if you throw another challenge out there, I'd appreciate it. And just make it casual, and we'll be good to go. Any other questions you guys have about double attacks? I liked it. Modern Ancient was telling me that he won some games recently using some of the stuff that we're working on. Looking for tactics, being aware of free candy is a big one. I watched Michelle Carey play the other day. She's practicing for PogChamps, and they're giving her a lesson. They gave her a great lesson. Anna Kramling, I like watching her too. Mia Kramling's daughter, I believe. So Anna Kramling gave her this nice lesson, and then afterwards she went to play, and she was playing as black, and her opponent threw out an opening move that she wasn't used to in the openings that she studied, because they studied against E4 and D4, and he threw out B3, and she crumbled. She was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, dang, man, I wish I could be teaching her. Okay, we're going to play something different. We've done the fried liver enough with modern ancient. We're looking for double attacks, looking for forks and double attacks. That's our goal. And we get a nice Vienna game. All right. We're not doing any gambits yet. Can't wait till we get you guys far enough along that we're learning openings, because that's fun. It's good and bad, but it's fun. Learn some openings, find some fun tactics to play. Looking forward to it. Let's see. Let's get Castle 2. And like I said, thank you for the extra time, and thank you for casual so I can talk my way through it. I am looking for double attacks. And double attacks sometimes happen just because pieces are unprotected, right? These two are unprotected. They're not under attack, but if we could get them under attack, we might be able to get a double attack. So I think we're going to just throw this out here, and we're going to go for what we've been doing almost every game we play. It's very classic setup. This is a very classic developmental setup. Everything is just right in its place. Nothing untoward. All right, let's see what we can get going here. All right, put the question to the bishop right away. Can't complain about that. Good move. Question is, how much farther do we want to go? Always a tough question to answer. All right. Looking for double attacks. Looking for double attacks. And wow. Okay, so we get the same, right? We've been here before. We've talked about this, where we have the same situation, a pin, and now a pin. And so we're pinning the knight to the queen. And I'm trying to put two pieces on the knight and see what black wants to do about it. That's the whole story of that game. What does black want to do? Fun, fun, fun. Decisions, decisions. All right, good. See, now he breaks the pin. And so if I take, he could take back with the queen and not, of course, ruin his pawns, because his pawns aren't even there anymore. And so now it's just, I'm tempted to try other fun stuff myself. I could push the queen up here so that if he takes, I could take this pawn. But, it's very dangerous, and he could just take and clean up, and things would just get quiet real fast. And I wouldn't have enough material to really threaten my opponent. So we're just going to step back. We're going to calmly step back and say, nah, we're not trading. We're not going to be reckless. We're going to play quiet, a little bit quiet. So let's see what the modern ancient wants to do. He's getting pretty good. He said he beat up on a 1400 the other day. I like the move. Nothing wrong with it. Double attacks the knight. Makes me decide, do I want to put a question to the bishop? But if I put the question to the bishop, remember, he takes with check. I have to take back, and the bishop gets to take a free pawn. Like that, no free pawns for this guy. Now, we're not giving him any free pawns. We're not going to give him any free pawns. We're going to make him earn everything he gets, and he's not getting a free pawn. So, what does he want to do? I know what I would do, but, we're not telling him. All right, and modern ancient, you should have a good shot. I always do bad on my first game. Oh, good. Let me watch the chat while we're waiting. You're still figuring out Lichess. Yeah, it's a little bit different than chess.com. I have to figure out chess.com now. If you were the teacher, she'd win all her games. Thanks. Thank you, Chris. And I have no way to get to teach her. I'm hoping someday she would just stumble upon me, doing this like tonight while she's like looking for games, and she might say, hey, this guy says he teaches beginners. Maybe one of you guys will go on her stream and say, you got to have Tiberian 64 teach you. That would be really good, because I don't feel right doing it myself. I think that's a little self-promotional. So very interesting. This reminds me a lot of the way, I think it was Chess Wizard likes to play it, where he takes with the bishop, not with the knight. I always like taking with the knight because it's a forced check, and then after the check you have to take, which I'm taking anyway, and then the bishop comes here, chases the rook away. And I like the bishop here, even with the pawn, like this situation. I would think, the bishop is doing good work. The rook has to move. This pawn is a little weaker, although my bishop is here now. So I'm not crazy about taking with the bishop first. And we could talk about that later and see why modern ancient chose to do it that way. But still, we're looking for double attacks. So right now, in essence, I did not have a double attack. Okay, so knight goes back. Nothing wrong with that. Coming has the potential to come here, and I want to break open stuff. So here he has one. I'm sorry. He has 1, 2, 3, and I would have 1, 2. Not enough. I want 3 there. I could do this, but he has 1, 2, 3, and I only have 1, 2. And the queen is still sitting where she is. We're going to open up this side a bit, or don't need to maybe. I'm thinking maybe instead I like the knight here because I really like that square. Now I don't know if he'll let me get to that square, but I really like that square. So we'll see. If his knight comes here, he's got a nice threat to come here with check and be annoying. I think I could just pop up though, and I think I'm okay. I'm either okay coming here with the king to push away the knight, or actually trading it. Which way does he want to take? Either way, he's going to get double pawns, and my knight comes here. So I am actually anticipating a sacrifice, not a sacrifice, a trade here. And on that trade there, I think my pawn will be okay. I still have this semi-open file coming soon, and I'm going to move my king, and we didn't get there. Didn't get there, folks. So I'm going to pop my knight into there before he decides that he should have taken off my knight. So I want to get my knight into a nice square and attack a nice square. And I just got to be leery that he might be trying that pawn push. I'm almost pushing him into, right? I'm almost encouraging him greatly to come after me. But I think I have some opportunities coming. So I'm looking forward to what comes next. And that bishop is always annoying. I love that bishop, by the way. Same as this one. His is a little better right now because there's nothing in the way. He has a knight in my way. All right, still looking for double attacks. Oh, look at this. Breaks in the center right away. Wow. Wow. What do I want to do about that? All right, I do not. I'm looking it over. I don't think I want to take this way. He gets to take back with. Oh, I do have the free pawn here in the meantime. So if I do take this way, he has to take back, or he has to move his knight. Take back or move his knight, right? So if he takes back or move his knight, I would actually have a double attack going. My pawn would be attacking his knight, and my knight would be attacking the pawn. And so if his knight takes, now he has 2 knights threatening to come here. I could take with the bishop. His queen pretty much has to take back, of course, and then I get the pawn. Can he do anything else if I take here? Well, he could. If he moves this knight, he would be attacking my knight, which is unprotected at the moment. But I think I'm okay. I think I could take here and even pop back to here. So let's try it out. Oh, wait, one last thing. The queen, after the queen, yeah, when the queen takes everything, everything is taken off. I still have my queen is protecting the pawn. So let's try it. I think that's an interesting pawn break on his part. I thought he should have just started shoving this pawn down my throat. Actually, I was worried about that, guys. So we'll see. We'll see if Modern Ancient sees the same things I do, or maybe he sees deeper. He's been playing really well. He's like he told me he beat a 1400 the other day. A guy that was running the tournament on Sunday. So I got to ask him if that was John Massa. So I noticed that John Massa was one of the guys running the tournament. That tournament looked like fun, and I was so proud. Modern Ancient came in second. That is so sweet. And he lost to a guy that had been playing since he was in elementary school and hadn't played for a while, but still played. And I'm just now noticing, look at this. This is how old I'm getting, right? I didn't even see this free pawn. That free candy was there too. Not that I would take it, although I could have. And it's still up for grabs maybe later. That was free candy. I just totally missed that when he pushed the pawn, I got to remember the pawn was protecting. And so that was free candy I missed. I did see this free candy. I've been eyeing that one for a while. And that's what happens sometimes, right? You get too focused on one plan, and I kind of got overly focused on that plan. So good. He pops him in here, which was, we said, that might have been one of his plans. I can take that off. He could take off me, though, and then I don't have any other free candy. I can start with the check and then come back here, which is interesting. He could take with the knight, but I'm okay. I'm covered. I feel like I'm covered everywhere, and I don't even mind his knight coming in. So I'm going to start off with the free candy. I'm going to just take the free candy and see where we go. Yeah, I think it's free candy. Yes, free candy. It's good and bad, right? We're happy when we find free candy. We're sad when we give it up. We don't want to give away free candy. So this shouldn't be a surprise. This attack on him, that shouldn't have been a surprise. So now we'll come here, and I'm expecting the check, but the check really doesn't do anything for him. So I don't know. Actually, I do see the check. His knight can come here, and his other knight can come here, and he can have both knights. This knight taking away this square, and this knight taking away this square. It could be pretty annoying. My king still finds haven over here, I believe, though. Safety. I believe I still will find safety. But, boy, he could get annoying. Also, he's got to be a little bit leery. If that knight goes too far, without tempo, I do have a fork. I'm looking for double attacks. So there's a potential for a double attack in the square, but that knight has to be 2 moves removed. 2 moves removed, or leave it like it is now where it's free candy. If he leaves it as free candy, then we get the fork. But if he moves the knight, remember, once you move a knight, it protects or attacks the square it came from. So if that knight moves here, it's attacking the square it came from, and I can't just plop into it. So this is probably a bad mistake because it's still a fork. Wow. Okay. If I take with the bishop, the queen does not have to take. The knight could take, and then I can't get my fork. If I take with the bishop and the knight takes, I get my fork. If I take with the bishop and a pawn takes, then I take here, and then I get the fork. So I'm looking, I want that double attack, right? That was the goal, a double attack. I'm even going to give up my protective bishop that was doing a great job of protecting my king. It took the place of the pawn that moved out of the way. But I'm going to give up the bishop to push for this double attack. He voluntarily moved the knight out of the square. That helped me out, I believe, and I'm going to see if I can get that double attack in there. That'll be worth giving up a lot of material, possibly. Yeah, I think so. So let's see what happens. Bishop needs to either be taken, or even if you save the knight, I just took a knight here. So that would be a free piece. Even if I just drop the knight, if the bishop back, depending if he wants to move someplace else. Don't know where. Okay, so he takes with the pawn, which is fine. And now we could take a free piece here, because that piece is free because we have the essence of a double attack. I'm attacking that. I just took that knight. I was attacking the knight, and I removed, this by the way is the lesson for next week. We have a preview. Remove the defender. That knight was defending the square, not just a piece, but the square. So that's a great move, right? I mean, he pins now my knight so it can't move, and now this is coming probably to attack my knight. Now, looking that over, I get to keep my bishop though. I can come here and say check. That's not really that good because that entices a good move. It entices the pawn move, which protected by the queen will pin the 2 pieces, and I'm in trouble. I can back the bishop up, and then if he pushes the pawn, I get to take the exchange, and with check, he'll probably take back, and then I have to just slide out of the way. He's going to win my knight. I can't do anything about that because it's pinned to my queen. Now I could move my king first because this fork, that fork would still live. Check that out. So if I just move my king to the side, right, I still get the fork. Okay, so let's do that. So the fork is back on the table, and it's a royal fork, royal family fork. We can fork all 3 things. We saw that in Chess Wizard's game on Wednesday. He had a chance where he could have forked, and it was on the board for like 8 to 10 moves. So, all right, Chris, I will keep you to that, and we will do some kind of award that says, the first sub ever. So that'd be awesome. I don't remember who I think the first follower was either my brother or someone else I know quite well. But yeah, that'd be great. All right, so he takes, that's a great move. I love that move. That's a great move. Double attack, right? So he got rid of the forking piece, and now he can take the bishop with check on the next move. So that should be nice. But I don't really have any choice. That I can see. I can throw in the check first, but then he could just throw the pawn in, right? And we don't want that. Or do we? Nah, he could just put the rook back. It's still, I'm going to win it anyway. If I go here with check, if he pushes the pawn, I could take here, and now the pawn is under attack twice. He'll probably want to take the bishop. My pawn will be sitting here. I could take back, and I'd have two pawns and this pawn ready to go to protect everything. I kind of like taking with the pawn. I really do. I really do like taking with the pawn. If I take with the pawn and he takes with check, I can just push the pawn and stop it. I like that too. Wow, this is more complicated than it looks like it should have been. If the bishop comes back, we said he could come here. And if he comes there, we just take here. And then he has to decide how he wants to take back. I kind of like that. I like it better than him just taking here with check and me pushing. And remember what I said about putting in between moves of instead of dealing with the piece that's attacking you, right? So he just took a piece. The general rules, I should just take it back. But I feel like throwing in this check to be kind of tricksy and clog up the position more because I'm going to lose that bishop next move anyway. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to put it here to clog it up and be a little tricksy, as they say, as I say. I don't know who else says that. Probably no one. I'm probably the only one who says tricksy. It's an odd term. All right. So we're both low. He's getting lower in time than I am, but which is interesting because I'm blathering along. Again, so let's see. Yep, that's what we anticipated. I could take with the pawn first, the bishop first, winning a pawn. Queen takes. Oh, that's even better. Look, take with the bishop, check. He has to take back. Take with the pawn. He can't take the pawn. He has to move his queen because my queen holds everything, and then I'll be able to push. I like that. I like that. I was thinking I was going to just take with the pawn was my initial thought, but now this seems better. So after all the dust settles, it looks like I'll be up the exchange. Rook for a bishop. Now he does have some threats I got to keep my eyes on, but I think I'm okay. I think I'm going to be okay. I hope so. I'm even looking at maybe the queen here next move. It protects here, gets it off of this file, and gets the queen able to come over here to possibly do a check later rather than push the pawn, which was my first inclination, was just to push the pawn. And pushing the pawn still does look good too. Again, both pawns are doing good work. If he brings his, depending on where he puts his queen, let's say he just drops his queen here, then he would have a piece here, and if I push this pawn, he gets a second piece on it. So he went where I thought he might, and my only worry about pushing this pawn is that the rook here gets him a second piece on it, and I really don't want to deal with that right now. I'd much rather go this way, and that way if he decides to put a second piece on this, I can stop that, and if he puts a second piece on this, I got the pawn, I got the rook to help out. So yeah, I think this is better. I can also try to force a trade of queens because again, I'm up the exchange. The rook is definitely better than a bishop. And I have two, count them, two passed pawns. So I have 7 pawns versus 5 pawns. So we're up 2 pawns in the exchange. We're winning, and it was interesting because we're winning in part not because of an actual double of attack, but because of the threat of a double attack. All right, so now we're going to just go for a trade of queens. And why? Because we didn't want this pawn pushing. I'm simplifying maybe too quickly. I do that sometimes. Done that in past games. But I think it's a good time to simplify because we're way ahead. So we'll see if I'm right, but that's my thought process. All right, expected, right? And we take back with the pawn. Now we have an open file, and that's the only truly open file. Everything else is semi-open files. We could go here with the pawn, and my gut says to do that, but if I go with the pawn, it gives the bishop an in, but you know what? It also puts all the pawns on a color that the bishop can't attack. I usually want to restrict the bishop, but if this is the only square he gets For his money, I think we're good. I think we're very good. This pawn he has trouble attacking because his king is in the way of the rook. And even so, my king gets to hold it, and he really can't get his other bishop in. So now we're going to go play on the open file, right? Open files are where we want our rooks. Rooks want to be on open files. So that's endgame. We started endgame, by the way, in the in-class class, in my major class. We've been doing endgames. Just started, but it's looking like fun. All right, so we have an opportunity to win a pawn at least. We could come here also because this pawn is protected, but this one is not. So we're going to start by coming here. Why? Because if he doesn't protect, we get to double up. If nothing, we're going to double up first before we probably try to win a pawn. But we also can come here and attack this pawn, and that bishop, like we said, he doesn't have that many great squares. If he comes here to attack, we can get those pushes in. All right, so this will simplify the game immensely if I take. I do not need to take. I'm going to double up. And the reason we're going to double up is he can't do anything. I mean, he could take, I could take back, and then I still get the double attack, right? That was a double attack, king and pawn, by the way, double attack. So we double up first because if he didn't take, we could take, he would have to take back, and we still get the double attack. So we're going to get this double attack either way. His king was here or here was the only difference. All right, so now we can start snuffing up pawns, but we can also push this pawn. So that's, and neither one of those pawns are going to fall, right? One of them moves, the other one falls. So I kind of like the idea of this first because it keeps his king out. And if he tries to bring his bishop here, we just start running the pawn. So I think that pawn is going to be pretty hard to stop. As I told you, we had doubled pass pawns, right? We have 2 pass pawns. This move, while may have seemed aggressive, if he doesn't get it to here and it stays here, that bishop became very dead, right? So we're going to come here first. And if he goes after this pawn, we get to just push it. And now he gets to stay here forever. This is true, but look, the bishop can't get out. The bishop won't be able to get back here to help out where these pawns are going to be going. Come on, Modern Nation, move. Move. You get back time, don't you? Come on. Arg. I was going to give him some time if Chris showed me how. I don't know how to even do that. Good game. Good game. All right. Good game. Instructive game, too, right? I mean, I think there was a lot to learn from that. Good game, Modern Ancient. We had some double attacks there in the end. It took a while, but we did get to some double attacks. Let's see. This got very interesting. So this was complicated, right? We have a knight under attack. Modern Ancient, you could have won the pawn, but we went with a move over here, gave up that free candy. It got wild here for a while. And then we got to where chess took a piece, but can't take it back. I take it you saw that, Modern Ancient, that you would have had a fork here. Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard. I know it's hard keeping up with time when I'm talking, and it's hard when you're playing. Oh, the blue plus sign, I'll have to see. I might not even have it active. I'll have to check that. Oh, you did see it? Okay. Because that's why I kept doing everything and giving away pieces. And then Modern Ancient, I really, really, really liked that move. That was really good. Take away the piece that's threatening the fork. And I could take one, but then you get to take another one back. So you would only be down the exchange at that point. I thought that was a really good move on your part. And then this just got to be where I was trying to win a little bit of a positional battle and some pawns while I was at it. This is interesting that we were talking about because you kind of got this actually locks the bishop out of the game. The bishop really doesn't have, so these squares are taken, these squares are taken, this square is taken. The bishop actually has no squares. So it feels like it's a good spot because it's deep in my territory, but actually this bishop probably would have done better staying back here somewhere where he could keep the rook out of your territory. And so we immediately jump in with a double attack. And then you blocked it, and this is one of those, because it's pinned to the king, we don't need to take. If you were to have moved your king anywhere, we would just take, you would take back, and we would still get what we want, which is the double attack. So that was where that was. It's just endgame play. And then here it was, let's go and start pushing the pass pawn, and your bishop coming here to attack it wouldn't help because we would just push it. Now, you could get your bishop back into the game that way, though, which probably would have been worth it to bring your bishop back so it could at least do some things harassing the pawn versus here, it's really is stuck. But good game, very good game. Yeah, you didn't I agree. You were down 2 pawns, so trading and you were down 2 pawns in the exchange. So you're right. You did not want to trade queens, but that's why I tried to force it. And yes, I love the sack. I thought the sack of the rook for the exchange was a very good move. Very good move. All right, who's up? Who wants to play a game? Again, just please make it casual and give me at least a 5 second increment. You can make it 5 and 5 or 10 and 5. All right, Chris. But just trying to get at least so that I can have enough time to talk through the game and make sure that we're looking for the double attacks. Hey, Murph, how's everything going? We were talking about you earlier because you asked the best questions that I've ever seen. Oh, thank you, Modern Ancient. Thank you very much. Oh, here we go. All right, Chris, we're going to look for double attacks again. Let's see what color I get. Oh, I get white again. All right, we're going to just stick with e4. And I think this time we're going to stick with the Vienna since we've been playing the Italian type games so much. And as you notice, this game can get right back into where we were before anyway, right? And yeah, I mean, now we get there anyway. All righty, looking for double attacks. Hello. And watching is good, Murph. So I'm trying to get the pin in early. I don't want to castle first because I don't want to lose the chance to pin. I want to get this pin in. And we'll see if Chris wants to put the question to the bishop right away or wait. He doesn't have to, but he does have to worry about a double attack that we know happens in this. And here's where it's, so normally we go here and here, always, right? We always do that. We're going to do something different for Chris's sake. We're going to bring it back this way. This is not normal for me. I like keeping the pin as long as I can. But we're going to have a little fun and play it a little differently. I'm probably even going to castle queen side now that I opened up this diagonal. The knight move here I would not like for Chris because while it attacks an undefended pawn, yeah, it's not really getting him anywhere. So now I got to decide, do I want to be on a white square or do I want to be on a dark square? And either one is okay. I'm planning to push this pawn, so I think I'll stay on a dark square for a change. Plus he has no dark squared bishop anymore. He traded his dark squared bishop. So since there is no dark squared bishop, I'm going to a dark square. It's just hard sometimes to decide, do you want to go to the light square or the dark square? But this light square would allow him to pin me. Not that it would be overly scary because this pawn keeps the knight out of being a second attacker. But I'm like, why? Right? I'm just, why am I going to do that? I'm going to go to the dark square. And he pins anyway. Now, it's not a pin, right? But he is attacking. He's attacking. I can castle queenside, and then it would be a pin on the rook that ended up here, which I don't mind. I don't mind if he takes because we're going to open a file to his king, right? So I think we're going to just try to entice him to take because we want to open up a file to his king now that we're going to castle queenside. That's our plan. Again, best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. All right, so he backs up, which is fine. We could push right away because we are castling to the other side. The only reason I'm not, well, no, let's see. I can push right away. If he were to trade off stuff here, then the queen doesn't get this check yet because the knight's still here. So that's where that would be okay. And if he were to sacrifice and trade off stuff, he's still giving up a piece for 2 pawns and an open king side. So again, I'm feeling okay about pushing. Feeling okay about pushing the pawn. So I anticipate he's moving back, and then I just got to decide if I want to push early or wait. Yeah, because I can push right away. Remember, if you push or you do a double attack, so he decided to sack the piece. Oh my goodness. And the rook also holds this from being attacked, and all I have to do now is find a way to protect my knight, which one way is to attack the bishop at the same time. So that's plausible. I also can come here to the dark square. Remember, the dark squares are nice, but I like lining up. I'm just going to line it up with his king. So I'm attacking the bishop while lining it up with the king. I think that might give me some opportunities later. but I have to protect the knight. The knight was free candy. So I like it that he was being aggressive and sacrificed a piece for 2 pawns. I like that. But look at how open. I have no pawns on the king side. No pawns. I have 3 open files at his king. So that's got to be scary. I know that's got to be scary to him. I would anticipate it's scary to him. He might be wishing he could do this, but he can't yet. So he might chase my bishop, and I'm going to quietly move back. And if he trades, he trades. I'm not going to fight that. He can get rid of the bishop so he can eventually push this, but that really doesn't hurt me too much. All right, so he takes that way. We're going to take back with the queen, and we still have this covered, and he still can't push that pawn. And so I'm feeling like we have makings of a quick attack coming. I even like the knight coming in here with opportunities. But we're going to castle queenside if we get the opportunity. Got to castle. King safety is so important. So, Murph, this is a good example. Where do I value king safety? Well, I developed quickly. I got an attack, and now I'm going to go for king safety. Right? I had to put things in, decide on an order, and on this one I decided this is a better order. Now, this is very interesting. He's attacking the bishop, which we know he wants to do because he wants to push the pawn. But right now, I can come over here and say, you know what? Queen, go find a new home. You have no business here. So we're going to say, Queen, you have no business here. Go find a new home. I always have to check that if he takes the knight, does he have a way to fork my queen and my king? But no, my queen is on white, light square. My king is on a dark square. So it's impossible to fork with a knight 2 different colors. Right? You can't fork 2 different colors with a knight. So if you're worried about the knight, you're like, those knights are so tricksy. What can I do about it? Okay, that's a free queen. Do you guys see that? And this is back to the pin. Remember, we did pins because my thought I was going to try to win this pawn. But this queen is also not protected because that pawn is absolutely pinned. It cannot move. All right, so that was just a mistake by Chris. You know, we make them. We all make mistakes. No big deal. All right, so now, do I react to the take? So he takes my bishop, but I have checkmate, right? And that's 1-move checkmate that we talked about. We can't miss 1-move checkmates. We've got to see 1-move checkmates because if you miss those, then you go around in the game and the game would keep going on when you don't need it to. Good game, Chris. Thank you very much. Yeah, that got blown open pretty fast. We were talking about the danger that you fell into with this open area for your king. So this was fine, doubling up the pawns. By the way, I was telling everybody, as soon as I doubled up the pawns, I decided I'm going to castle queenside, most likely. I could have castled kingside with an open file for the rook, but I was thinking, no, I'm probably going to castle queenside and we'll play a different type of game than you guys have seen. But notice all center pawns except for taking back. Still all center pawns. I had to decide between the 2 squares, Chris. I decided a dark square because you didn't have a dark square bishop anymore. So it was the safest one for my king, queen, I mean. And here I didn't mind at all because, again, I'm okay with open files at your king. So I said, yeah, let's put the question and see if you take my knight. I'm happy if you do. But you didn't. You backed up, and I said, okay, we're going to keep going. And we talked about that you might sack, and the only worry I had was, can your queen come in here and chase my king who has not castled yet? But the nice part for me was that not only does the knight cover the square, but the rook covers the square. So even here, you still can't come in. And when my queen comes over, I decided to attack the bishop and your king alignment while protecting the knight. Kind of a double attack, right? Not really attacking, but double thought here. And so you trade it. And the only problem with trading was now we have 3 open files at your king. That was the danger there. Is it better to castle later so that you don't make your king a target? Better is, Murph, it's hard to say if it's better. I've said before that the last piece to develop should be either castling or the queen. But sometimes we castle early to get out of danger. Like these setups that we've been getting into is dangerous for black if he doesn't castle. But there is a benefit to holding off castling so you could castle to either side. And in situations like this, say, you know what, I'm going to castle to the opposite side of my opponent so that it can be more attack opportunities. So if you like attacking, if you say, I'm not much for slow games and defense, I like being aggressive, then you might want to look at opposite side castling as much as you can so that you could be ultra aggressive. But remember, so can your opponent, because right, your kings are on different sides of the board. But yeah, it's not a better, it's either one can work. You want to see how it would be to say something? What do you mean? What do you mean by say something, Chris? Oh, sack something. Sorry, spelling. It's they and the auto fix on these are not nice. Yeah, that was. I thought it was an interesting try in the sack. Actually, we've had two sacks now because the Modern Ancient sacked his rook for the exchange. So he sacked. I was definitely trying to. If you hadn't taken my bishop, Chris, I was going to put my queen here, and I was going to see if I could sack on you, but you beat me to it. But yeah, sack. And what's the best way to learn about sacrificing and gambits is playing them, right? Gambits you'll run into. People will use gambits against you. Beginners will play things like the Stafford Gambit, the King's Gambit, because they learn an opening, they learn about 5 moves in, and they go, oh, this gambit's great. And unfortunately, if you just play solid and smart and play by the principles, they don't know what to do after that, so they'll lose those games. And I want you to learn gambits later, but sacrifices you can learn right now, because there are many opportunities for sacrifices that lead to clear wins, right? Where you're going to win material or expose the king and you're going to checkmate them. So sacrifices, again, like gambits, are temporary. You don't ever want to sacrifice just to be like, I sacked my knight on the second move and 30 moves later I was happy because I got it back. It should be more like you sacked it for a reason. But then again, if you ever lose a piece by accident, just tell yourself, that was a brilliant sack. Now, how do I take advantage of my sack? And hopefully you got like a pawn for it at least, not just the piece outright. All right, who's up for a game? I think these were going pretty well. Do you guys want to do the simul? Do you guys want to play each other, or do you want to keep playing me? Up to you. So we can do different things. I'm thinking this players list does not show who's on if someone is watching on Lichess. Are any of you guys watching on Lichess instead of Twitch? Just curious, so that I know that if it's, I'm just wondering how when I look at my viewers list, if those viewers are not counting. Oh, okay, Murph. So it does show the Lichess viewers. So we're good to go. All right, anybody else want to try a game, or we can go find a game, but I much prefer playing viewers for the purpose of us getting that lesson within the game also. Hey, Murph, you're the one who likes one-on-one games, so if you want to play one, no pressure. But if you want to play one, we're not doing the simul yet, or maybe not at all. Again, I'm happy to do the simul if everyone wants to do a simul, but it's no fun with less than 3 people, right? We want to do 3, 4, 5 people if we can, and see a lot of games with a lot of opportunities for double attack. So what we're searching for in the bottom of all this is looking for opportunities. We are trying to be aware of free candy, not giving it away. Be aware of free candy when it's offered. And then we've got to try, Murph, still, I'm sorry. We've got to try to see opportunities for tactics. And we've been talking about pins. We had a pin in a game before. We're looking for pins. Actually, we had a pin in this game, right? That pawn was pinned afterwards. So we're looking for pins. This pawn is pinned, cannot move. So this move is just one of those that Chris has to say, I can't go there. I can't go there. I can't go here. The pawn would take me. And I can't go here because that pawn is not protecting me. And so Chris actually had to go back to one of these 2 squares. He couldn't stay out here at all. So that was the nice thing that I was seeing, that Chris had to leave these files, and he couldn't get here. And even if he could, that wouldn't be good. So Chris had to come back. Chris had to come back to one of these 2 squares, which would have first given up this square at a minimum. And I don't know if it's the best move because we still lose our knight. We'd have to take back, but we do get the free pawn. So it's one of those where we'd have to decide, do we want the free pawn? I'm thinking instead better would have been to bring the queen over here and attacking the pawn. So I'm not even sure how that would have run for sure, but let's jump that to an analysis board while we're waiting to see if anybody wants to play. So if he had gone back to here, the queen could come here threatening mate still. Can't push the pawn to let the queen protect the pawn. So can't take the bishop because of mate. So can't move the king, still mate. So none of those stop it. Going here, we know doesn't stop it, right? Because if he goes here, it's still just check because this pawn is pinned. And then here and mate. Okay, so that doesn't stop it. What if he goes all the way up? Now, the queen's protecting, so that's a lot better, right? That gives us a chance. So that's where I'm thinking we come here, and then the knight getting rid of this pawn is not a bad idea at all. And I'm looking because I think we still can threaten mate here, but threatening mate there, now this pawn can move. And when the pawn moves, the queen can protect. So this would be very interesting at this part. I mean, I think this is mandatory because otherwise we're threatening mate. And now we're only threatening check from here. Yeah, that would only be a check. The king could pop up, but then we can get this one. And if you wait, well, you can't wait to do it because the queen comes here first, and then we get mate. So we have a check threat, queen has to come over, and then mate if the rook is backing it up. So very interesting. So yeah, if you go here, it looks like this threatens mate, and the queen can come over early. Then we get a double attack here and can win the knight back. The king can pop up, but that doesn't work, does it? We get a check here. No, we would just check here. The king would have to move here, and you'd lose the queen. Wow, this is still a mess. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Take g5 here at that time. So you're thinking earlier or now? So if we take there. Yeah, I don't see the mate here. Oh, way earlier. Gotcha. Way earlier. Like back here. So we said instead of that, we said that this would be better. So here, because this is the only time I see that we have that rook can take g5. Yeah. Where did you have a chance to trade queens? So we get that first. We get castle. Still don't see that you could trade queens yet. I might be missing it, Chris. Might be missing it. So is there a place here where you could trade, where you can trade queens, where you can try to get a trade of queens? Rook takes h6. Okay, and then the queen trade. Okay, and where would that? So you're saying way back here? No. Okay, so take, right? Okay. So rook takes here, you're thinking? I do too. Hey, Chris, you can. There is a way to do that. All you do is you put this into a study. This is great. This is a great chance for us to show you Lichess, how Chris and I can actually talk about his game together. So Chris, I'm going to create a study, and I'm going to call it iChris, hopefully. Again, my computer goes a little slower when I'm streaming, so things like creating a study, it doesn't always like. I'm going to invite Chris to the study, and we'll call it iChris. And I can put all of the games we've ever played in here as an example. But I get to go over to members, and I'm going to add you as a member. All right, you are now a member, and I made you a contributor. So Chris, if you go to, let's see, if you go to learn, 4 down, you'll see study, Studies I contribute to, you should only probably have one in there. It's this one. And yeah, now you see, you can move pieces. So go ahead and you can move the pieces and explain what you were thinking. All right, rook there. I mean queen there, and then you were. What are you thinking white would do? Is this where you were thinking white could take the h6 pawn? Yeah, I like that. Okay, yeah, yep. And this is where, oh, yes, Chris. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Hey, LMP, thanks for making it. Bravo, Chris. Yes, nice. Queen sacrifice, not really, right? But a queen, not really a queen sacrifice, a queen trade for a checkmate. Nice, Chris. Yeah, I missed that. That would have been much cleaner, much faster. Yeah, I was contemplating all this, stepping over here, threatening this when it's just straight, quick checkmate. Beautiful, Chris. Much better. So, Chris, this is a study. And in studies, what I like for you guys is that you can, over here, you see the moves above me. So these are the moves to the game. You can add notes, right? So down here, there's a bubble, like a person's bubble, and you can add a note like, oh wait, we'd say, queen is not protected. And you can see the words coming up there real tiny for you though. Protected because, oops. Because of the absolute pin. So I can add comments. Now, Chris, you can also click on that bubble. And let me go to full screen. I can show you guys. Chris, you could click on that bubble down here, right down here. You could click on the bubble and you can make comments and it lists who made which comment. So once you start commenting, you'll see that it'll put your name next to it and my name next to it. And we both can comment on the same game. And you could be doing it now. I can come back an hour and look at the comments and go, and then I can add a comment to it. It's one of the tools we use to teach that because we can both do comments and read each other's at different times. So love it. And as you see, we can move. And by the way, if I draw lines, right, you get to see the lines also. And as you saw, if you move the piece, I can see. We both can have the power. Now, you don't have to make the person a contributor. Up here, over here on the left, above me, right above me, I made Chris into a contributor so that he could edit and move. Oh, okay, Chris. Yeah, you get used to it. I use the arrows. I think that's the easiest way if you use the arrows at the bottom. But so I made Chris a contributor. If I only made him a viewer, then he couldn't edit anything, but he could still look and he would follow along. When I make a move, moving a piece on the board, like moving through the game, he would also see it move through the game, even as a viewer, not a contributor. But a contributor means that we both can do notes, we both can do analysis. So it's a great way if you're playing with somebody and you want to practice or go over the game later, take it to a study, invite them to the study, and then both of you can review the game together. Awesome. Anybody want to play a game? Still looking for more games. We've done 2 so far. Might be a slow night tonight. And if we had enough, we could, of course, do simul if you guys want. And we can also just take one-on-one challenges, whatever you guys want to do. You guys can even play 2 of you against each other, and we can commentate on YouTube playing because I can follow whoever's playing. So whatever you guys want to do, this is our opportunity to see games, live games, analyze the games real time, looking for the tactics we're learning. And this week, the tactic is double attack, also known as a fork. So we'll go back to our list up here. We're on double attacks, and we're on, we did pins, we did discovered attacks, we're on double attacks now. Double attacks and forks. Yeah, I love studies, Chris. And Lichess is free. Guess what? I haven't found a limit to the number of studies you can do. And each study allows you up to 64 chapters. Now, I tend to make each game a different chapter. So I just take games. Every game I play against you, Chris, I can even go back and find those now after the fact, right? Because I have a lot of time. Earth, thanks for the. Oh, and it's casual. All right, let's go. So I can go back and load all the games we've ever played on Lichess right in there. All right. Let's see. What do we want to play? So I've been playing the French every once in a while with you guys. I'm not going to play Sicilian, even though Sicilian is a totally super solid opening, but we're not playing the Sicilian. Why? Because I force my beginners to only move the center pawns unless provoked. So I feel pretty guilty if I turn around and start moving the non-center pawns as the first move of the game, right? And you can learn the Sicilian later. Sicilian's a great opening. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. We saw I played totally against the principles the other day. I played the Evans Gambit, which is one I definitely plan on teaching all of you when we start doing gambits. Because out of this Italian game, you can have so many gambits. I mean, you got the fried liver we saw as an attacking game. You have this, the Evans Gambit. You have another gambit where I believe you just give away this pawn. But there's so many opportunities for gambits. We're just gonna keep giving you guys a lot of fun really soon. All right, well, let's see how this one goes. All right, so we can normally put the question to the bishop. We're gonna play totally bad, and we're just gonna move the bishop twice, just for a little difference. This is a bad move because we moved the bishop twice. That's the only bad part about it, but it is bad because we are slower on development because we are taking too much time away from moving that piece. We moved it twice. So that's all that's bad about that. But we're going to see, right? Just shaking it up a little bit. I don't want you guys to get in a rut, seeing the same things over and over again. So now I'm toying with pushing this pawn. Why? If he takes, the knight takes back, and the knight protects the bishop. So if he takes here, I don't have to take back with the queen. The bishop could take back, and so we're all safe. I can also go here, and he could say, well, I'll take here right away. I would take back. He could take here, threatening the knight. I could take here, threatening the knight and the pawn. But now that he moved the knight out of the way, was my hope, he didn't. But now that he's developed the knight, then I can go here, but then the rook just comes here and chases me away, and I don't win anything for it. I really want to win something for it. So we'll play more normal. We'll just develop and free our, not really developing, that's not a developing move, we're freeing our bishop. So I think our pawns are telling us to do a king side attack, and all of my pieces are getting ready to do a king side attack. I definitely love this bishop on c5 though. I mean, that's a prime real estate for that bishop. All right, I can watch chat because I know this guy plays a little bit slow, and I can say that because he's related. No, he thinks hard, and so that's good, because one of the opportunities once you protect this pawn is for you to chase the bishop and make the bishop not have a home and trade off that bishop. But now that bishop has an easy home. I cannot double up on his knight, so it's a whole different flavor for this game. So because it's a whole different flavor for this game as it's coming out, we're going to put the question to the bishop, and we're going to play, right? We have to play differently. We want to get this bishop out. I don't really want to develop him this way because he'd be hitting on this pawn chain, and I want this bishop to have a chance to get in and do some damage. All right, so he puts the bishop back here. Now again, I can go here, and then he could push the pawn. In fact, we just will. If he pushes the pawn or moves the queen because the knight's protecting, I'm still going to bring my queen up because we're hoping for a chance to sacrifice over here and have a little fun. Back to the sacrificial opportunities. His bishop sacking on my pawn isn't really a threat yet because his queen isn't in a square to help the bishop, which is the most fun. That's the most fun way to do it. So if he pushes here, chances are we're going to come back, and we do have this square to hide our bishop. And all my pieces will be on the king side except for this knight by that time. And so that's feeling good as far as a king side attack goes. All right, so we're going to maintain the pin. We'll see if he actually wants to push. I don't think he does. I'm assuming he won't. I'm assuming he will go here after he brings his queen out to here. He's, by the way, his setup is a King's Indian attack. Nice setup, except the bishop is normally fianchettoed in the King's Indian attack. All right, so he moves out of the way, so the pin is no more. So now the knight can just move, right? The knight can go here to get here. The knight could just move. It doesn't have to worry about being pinned. And if the knight does move, he's got interesting places. Like if he moved his knight here, look at this. If he were to move his knight here, and then I were to make the mistake of just backing my bishop, here we go. If I were to back my bishop up here, it's a free piece. He could just take it, because see the absolute pin, right? We're back into that absolute pin territory, folks. So I cannot back my bishop up. There is no protection if I put a piece here. And if he puts his knight here, he's threatening some damage too. So knight goes here, it's threatening here and here, and I got to decide what I want to do about that. So what we really want to do is break this pin. That would be ideal. Can I break the pin? Yes, I can just push, right? Because if he takes back with the pawn, we get to take back with the knight. We can break the pin. And so then we will have a square to put our bishop. Because otherwise, he was threatening to push this pawn. Now, I was planning on sacking it anyway. Hopefully, we were going to definitely have some fun sacking there. All right, so now we get to attack the bishop. And look, we have an uncovered attack. How's that for a double attack, guys? Oh, wait, let's make sure we didn't just make a move that's not legal. Okay, sometimes you pre-move by accident. So we have a double attack. Bishop attacking, knight attacking. Does he give up the bishop for the knight? Does he do something else? But his knight was under it, and he backs it up. So his knight was under attack. I don't want to take. It doesn't double any pawns. Frees his rook. I don't want to take. I don't see any benefit in taking. I like my knight, and I might just put it back. I also like my knight maybe going there, but that's double pawns. I like my knight winning the bishop. I like getting rid of the bishop. But if I go here to get rid of the bishop, this pawn is free candy. Don't like free candy. Never like giving away free candy. Tempted just to put my knight back. I don't know if I want to get rid of his bishop. It's an option. Knight could come all the way over here, but then the bishop just drops here and my pieces are moving away from the king. We don't want to move away from the king. We want to move towards the king, right? I mean, that was the goal. So I don't have any reason not to maybe push pawn. No, if I push the pawn and that's too slow, push the pawn, he just backs up. He gets to stay there anyway, folks. Not what we want. Can't give away the pawn, can't give away the knight. Not really crazy about giving him the opportunity to re-establish himself, but I think we will. I think we'll just go here. By the way, his bishop moves, he would have a double attack on my pawn. If that bishop moves, he'd have two pieces attacking the pawn, and I only have one protecting it. Just a thought. Just a thought. But it's going to be a fun game, I think. So now I got to decide where I want to put this bishop. I'm thinking I like that bishop there. That way, if that pawn, once that pawn moves out of the way, we'd have a nice angle for that bishop. So that's a possibility, and it would protect this pawn. I don't need to protect the knight because the bishop's not pinning it anymore. Now he could try to break in the center. Oh, nope, he does sack. All right, we're just going to take right away. We're not even going to wait. We're going to take right away. We kind of felt it was coming. I didn't talk about it too much, but I told you that if he moves that bishop, he wins the pawn. But that's all he's getting that I can see is the pawn. Oh, and that's not even a double attack there, right? Because it's protected by the knight. Everything is protected at the moment. And what I really want to do is get his queen out of here. That check doesn't bother me. That check, might be annoying, but not really too much. I'm going to bring over the rook and threaten a discovered attack of my own, even though I don't have too many good places to put the bishop right now because I need to hold the knight, and the knight holds the bishop. Everything is holding everything. All right, so I can drop the bishop back. No, you cannot. If you drop the bishop back, the queen takes. It is free candy because of the pinned piece. But I can either put my king here, and I kind of like that because right now he doesn't have a way to get the bishop over to attack yet. He has to push that pawn to get that bishop in an angle. And so since he doesn't have an angle for the bishop, I don't mind going to the white square, almost enticing him. But I like being closer up here. Why? Because I'm going to drop that bishop back here at some point, and I don't want to be, well, could be pinned anyway, but we'll see. I'm thinking, here we go. So rook comes over attacking the file. I should be able to come here in a counterattack. I'm just thinking it through. I can also come here and attack the queen. The problem with that one is the queen comes here and attacks both the knight and the bishop, right? We've talked about double attacks. There's a double attack. So I think best might be to do this one, because this one attacks the queen, and while it was protecting the pawn, I have a bishop that's protecting the pawn. Possibly he should have used this rook if he was going to bring a rook over, because then that rook would still have more scope, but he's got pawns. He has so many pawns that he's not really going to see that come to fruition yet. So that's an interesting choice. I thought for sure that he would come here, trying to attack here and here. If I moved the knight to do a discovered attack, he would be hitting my bishop. I mean, he'd be taking this bishop. Sorry, wrong bishop. He'd be taking this bishop over here. All right, this pawn is still protected by the bishop. His queen gave me a discovered attack on the queen. So I really, really think I want to take advantage of it. And it's just, how do I take advantage of the double attack? I could go here. I kind of like it. Still liking it. Haven't seen a reason not to like it yet. I'm liking this. I think we'll go with this. He could put the knight here. Could put the knight there. I could drop the bishop back, but don't really need to. His queen here wouldn't work. Okay, we're not doing great on time, so I'm thinking we're going to move sooner and think later, if that makes sense. So we're going to move now and worry about the long thought process later. I do have a knight that's not protected, and it is protecting a piece. I do have a sacrificial opportunity here, possibly in the near future. If the knight comes here to block, the nice part for me is that the knight is pinned, but he could take in between. He takes in between, he gets the check. The biggest royal family check you've seen in a long time, right? That knight taking here, this would be really bad news for me. We don't want that knight taking there. So how do we deal with that knight possibly going there? Probably the easiest way is to take. He still can't take back with the queen because the rook would just take. All right, so he had to take back with the pawn. We kind of like that for our team. Good for our team. Oh, running out of time. And I can't put my queen here to attack the pawn. I can come here to pin the pawn. I can't go here. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So many fun opportunities, so many fun choices. We're going to just slide on over here. No, we're not going to do it. Yes, we are. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are. Couldn't decide. We are. And I'm way low on time, so I'm going to have to play pretty quick. All right, Chris, I'm sorry I missed a part that was probably a cool part of the game because I was too busy running around. So we're going to drop back here because he was threatening a discovered attack with a check and he would have won my bishop. Now, if he pushes, I just take with the queen. Because we have more pieces on this square than he does. He has to be careful. He can't do things like that because then we skewer the queen. So we got to hope for, bad moves like that, right? We don't want to hope for bad moves, though, for most of the time. So we're going to just keep on going. We're going to block his pawn. So that bishop gets no attack because we blocked the pawn and we're sneaky. We're sneaky. Didn't even see it, to be honest, okay? I just did it to block the pawn. I was like, logic, I'm down to 29 seconds. What do? You block the pawn. You make the queen move, kind of like dead. Make this bishop dead. I'm just trying to deaden his pieces. So missing the fact that, this was a great attack. By the way, why am I up a piece? What did he sack that I missed? Okay, we're coming here. And so that we could slide over here next. He did see the checkmate, obviously, and didn't allow it. I can also triple up, and that way the bishop can take. But nah, queen, bishop would take, and the queen is out front. We don't want the queen out front. Okay, rook comes up, but I'm tempted to go here. I just don't know where it gets me. I like the bishop here still. Oh, and I'm running out of time again. I'm liking the pawn move right now, but no, that doesn't work. That I'm not. We're gonna go with that. I'm down to 6 seconds. I gotta move. Gotta move. Gotta move. Gotta move. Okay, I gotta think about my next move now while I'm talking to you guys because I need to know what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna push this pawn again if I get the opportunity, and I just did. So we're gonna push that pawn again. He can take this time. It's not checkmate, but I still think it wouldn't be a wise idea. Okay, he chases my rook. I'm going to chase his queen. And then we're going to take that pawn since it's going to be there. Okay, we're going to take that pawn. We're not going to worry about anything else. I don't have time to figure it out. We're going to definitely take there. Because again, we're running out of time. We're going to block here. I still want to block that pawn from moving for them. Oh, I should have just taken free candy. I should have just taken free candy. I missed the free candy. Okay, we're not going to miss free candy twice. We refuse to miss free candy twice, although he has free candy down here. But we have a trick up our sleeve still. So we take here, and we're winning. We have more pieces, and we have time. We do have time. 15 seconds with a +5 without having to talk. We have time. I went there because I want to attack this pawn. Dummy. Should have just taken. And it would have held the bishop. That was just bad. That was just bad. That was just a mistake. But we'll get 2 pawns for our money. That was just a blunder. I had a free bishop with protecting my bishop, so that was a guaranteed no problem. And now we could chase his bishop, which I probably could have done last move. I could have saved my pawn, chased his bishop, and then won this pawn. So we're doing fine, but yeah, sometimes speed. No, it's not too late to join. Definitely not. We are actually not doing a tournament, although I love doing simul's, but we opted not for a simul today yet. Didn't have enough players. But you definitely can challenge. I'm looking for challenges, so come on aboard, give a challenge. Happy to have you. We are looking for double attacks. The concept's right above my head is what we're shooting for at every opportunity. Interesting situation. Okay, we get a check. He has to back up. He has to go here, as far as I can tell. Sometimes I can see these, sometimes I don't. I'll take here. And it's hard to see when you're low on time. Okay, we want to save these pawns, by the way. We definitely do not want to give away our pawns because our pawns are how we're going to win this game. A rook and a bishop against a bishop is really hard to win. But if we have the extra pawns, we're going to go down and win those. Yes. After this, the lesson is the whole time I am accepting challenges, so definitely. And all it requires for you to do is to be on Lichess. And then give me a challenge on Lichess, and you're good to go. Please make it a casual game because I talk, so it's not fair to me in my mind. It's probably just fine. But yeah, make it a casual game and a +5 at least. You can make it 5 + 5, 7 + 5, 10 + 5, it doesn't matter. But as long as there's a plus in there somewhere, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And yep, all challenges. Happy to win, lose, it doesn't matter. We're practicing double attacks. So which one was a double attack, Chris? Did I have an opportunity and I miss it? Probably. Since he has a white bishop, I don't mind putting my pawns on white for the moment. And let's attack that bishop. I don't know where he's going to go. He's got squares. Oh, there you go. Free bishop. I like free pieces. Free candy. So he's getting low on time too, and he does a little worse on time than I do. Uh-oh, I can't move that one. Let's go that way. So one of the things you can always do when you're ahead like this and you just don't want to lose the game on time, you take off all their pawns, and the best they can get is a draw, right? It's impossible for them to claim a win if you take off all their pawns. All right, so now we got him backing up, which we want. Now, depending on which side he went to that side, I think he needed to go to this side, even if he had to go back here to try to stop the pawns, because now the rook will keep him boxed out, and he'll never be able to get his king anywhere near this pawn, and this pawn will just run down. And I think he's feeling that, so he's letting his clock run down while he thinks if there's any chance. Oh, he resigned. Cool beans. Good game. Good game, Irv. Thank you. LLMP, thank you. So you're up, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Mr. Morto? Mr. Morto. 2020. If you'd like to play, we are looking for, there you are, casual 8+5, beautiful. We are looking for double attacks. That's all we're working on tonight. But we still always remember the pins and the double attacks. I don't know if we've met before, so I can't say how you play. But this is what we've been working on with our beginners, is to have this opportunity. All right, so guys, as beginners, we're saying you can't play the King's Gambit because we're focused only on the center pawns. But obviously, there's nothing wrong with it, right? King's Gambit's fine. Queen's Gambit is fine. Sorry, Queen's Gambit is fine. But again, don't want you gambiting away pawns to begin a game. We want you to play a little bit more just safe and solid to start. And it's just a learning. So I'm still going to restrict myself to that. Just as a side note, I usually end up playing things like the Dutch when I play. So I find myself not playing this opening at all. So for me, as far as studying openings, nah, never did it. This isn't one I ever look at. So it should be fun and interesting from that standpoint for me anyway. So the pawn push here feels right, but again, what did we say? We're going to stick to the principles that we're teaching, and we're not going to move a non-center pawn unless provoked. And so he didn't really provoke that move. So although that's very normal in a lot of openings against the queen pawn, we're not doing it. Okay, we're going to stick with this. We're going to stick with what's static, neutral, safe, and just keep playing it this way. All right, so this gets a double attack. Very nice. And he has two pieces attacking. And doubling up his pawns, he's probably not too concerned about, because he's probably figuring, so what? I'll have an open file towards your king. So now I got to really start thinking, because nice double attack, two pieces. And again, remember, I kind of like this. This would have protected that pawn, and I would have only been thinking about this one. So now I got to see if I have other opportunities that might rear its head to give me some fun. I like pushing the pawn, the queen takes, but then I don't have a great place for my knight. I don't mind taking here, of course. I like possible opportunities along this vein for later. If I let him take here, can I trap his queen? That's always something to think towards, is can you trap your opponent's queen. Sorry, I said king. I don't know why I said king. Another opportunity is push, but that's just a free pawn. Doesn't even give me any playback. I do still like that. He still has a white bishop, by the way, who could be annoying. So if he takes with the knight, this pin doesn't work. Why? Because he could take with check. So it's not a real pin. So that's not anything to be happy about. Okay, so we're back to double attack. I cannot protect them both. I don't see a way I can protect them both. Nope, I don't see any way to protect them both. So let's say we lose this pawn and even lose this pawn to get our pawns coming at him. If we're going to lose those two pawns, then we don't want his king to be able to castle. So I'm thinking we're going to start with taking here, just so his king can't castle. We already decided we're going to give up this pawn, not this pawn. So if we're going to give up that pawn, not that pawn, probably the most logical way to do that would be here. And if he takes, we might be giving up this pawn also. I got to decide. I want to give up this pawn, but I don't want to give up this pawn. I really don't. Okay. Okay, but I don't know what I'm doing after that. I do this, he takes, I can't, now I have to protect that pawn, and I got two pieces in pre. If that knight comes here, got to make sure I don't pre-move by accident. If that knight comes here afterwards, he could take this pawn, and then what do I get? I still have this pawn hanging. Oh, knight comes here, double protects the pawn, his queen is here, and we're going to be fighting on an open file. Okay, we'll go with that plan. So we're going to give up 2 pawns, guys. We're going to be down 2 pawns for hopefully building an attack afterwards. So we'll see. All right. Anticipate taking here. And we're going to plop our knight in here. Yep. All right, so now we get our second piece on the pawn. So we're no longer threatened to lose that pawn. And now we're thinking about things like sliding over here. We have to be wary. The queen take, nope, doesn't work. We could take back with the queen. Kind of like this square eventually, but yep. And I still like the idea of getting my rook here because I don't want him to have a safe place to put his king. So we want his king to stay in the middle. So we've given up 2 pawns already. And we'll see. You're expecting a kid? Oh, wow. Cool. Good job. Yes. And I really would like to have used different pieces, but this one will have to do. I just was looking at him coming here, but actually that kind of starts getting him not trapped, but not too free either with the rook can come up. And then I can maybe double up faster. So first thing is, let's see if we can find him a new home for his queen. Interesting game though. Yeah, so, and again, sometimes I had to see the double attack and avoid the double attack, and that could have been my reasoning for being provoked to playing c6, right? That was what I wanted to play, but I felt like, that didn't meet our principles, that we're working under, so I tried to avoid that. But that might have been a fair move, given the circumstances. All right, let's see where we're going with that bishop. It could go here, and that's okay by me, I think. I think we just go here and try to get a discovered attack on the queen. So I'm not worried about that. Taking here, of course, doesn't do him any good. He could go here so that he could put the queen here, but that's still, the bishop is in the lead. I kind of like being able to push the pawn anyway, and then the bishop stepping back into the feed shadowed square, so that's going to be not a problem in my mind. I am threatening a pawn now because of the discovered attack. And yes, if he's still on listening, then he gets some he'll get some advantage. Who's going to be a great? I'm going to be a great uncle, by the way. You talking to me? You talking to me? You mean Nicholas is going to be having a baby? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that what you're trying to tell me? All right. Wow. You're getting me flustered. I'm not thinking about the game anymore. We're going to take the free pawn because you got me flustered. Are you talking to me? Is that really? That's how you tell me on stream that I'm going to be a great uncle. Okay, great. I'm a great uncle. Sign up. Oh, that's why you're late tonight? You just found out. Well, thanks for helping me be one of the first people to know. That's cool. Oh, sorry. He moved. Remember, we got to play this game too. We can't, take off time. So let me see. Rook here. Queen can go there and there and there and there. So he's got moves. He's got moves. We could take, but I want to push pawn again, right? I really want to push pawn. Bishop could just come here. Blocking. See, this move is interesting. I want to take my time. Bishop can come here. Wow. Oh, so many options. Take here. Okay, let me think it through. Wow, you got me totally flustered now. I can't even think. Take here, check. Pawn probably takes back. Check. takes with check. I'm kind of liking this, even down the pawns. I don't know if I'm winning, but if you guys look, I've got all my pieces pointing, and this king is dead center. My gosh, I mean, I really feel like I should be able to get some traction here. I just don't know if I should be taking, but we're gonna find out. Oh wow, great uncle, congrats! Hey, that means you're gonna be a grandpa finally. I know I beat you at that just by a little bit. I didn't beat you by a lot, but I beat you by a little bit. Grandpa, cool, congrats! Oh, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I don't know if you could do clips on mine yet. Might have to be an affiliate to do. I think I allowed people to do clips. That's great. Wow. Congrats. Congrats. Now, if I could have moved this queen someplace, where we could have gotten a double attack, I'd have been even happier. But, you take what you can get. So where does he go? Where does he go? Where does he go? He could go here. He could go there. Now, that gives me, again, right, a pin. So I can push this pawn, but if I push the pawn, then he has two pieces on my queen. So we don't like that. But I really, really, really like pushing here, chasing the queen, because the queen cannot go here. It has to go here or here, and then I get the check in here. That just feels good. Don't even know if it wins, but we're going to just keep being aggressive and attack, 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 attack. So we're going to try that. Now, got to always be worried about this bishop with the check. If there was a discovered attack, because that would be a great way to do it. Saying check would win him a piece if there was a discovered attack somewhere. I don't see it yet. And again, his king is in the center, which is the only really bad part for him and good part for me. And I'm looking for double attacks whenever I can find them still. So that's where we stand. I should be able to get my rook in here, breaking his king, bringing his king back to the back rank, which gives me maybe places for my knight to step in. We'll see if we can get something going. I'd love to get my queen more involved in the game. Like, this pawn looks weak still. He could go here to try to protect, to keep the threat of this is what he's going to have to look for. Is can he keep pressure on this knight? That's, yeah, we don't want to pre-move by accident. Okay, yeah, there you go. So now we can play back and forth, but this pawn is hanging. I like the idea of chasing his king around. I also like the idea of coming here and attacking the bishop. I don't really care about this pawn anymore. I mean, we got to not care about the pawn, right? We could go here first, then the check wins the bishop. I like that. Let's try that because we're running out of time. Anyway, we're going to attack the bishop. But he says, hey, he's probably going to think he's protecting the bishop and the pawn. We are doing a double attack, but they're both protected. And we're going to do what we're going to be learning next week. And next week, we're going to be learning removing the defender. Right? That's our lesson for next week. Our new tactic we'll be working on is removing the defender. So he's only got one defender. I'm going to see if I can remove that defender. Yeah, you can. That's what we're doing. I usually tried to, well, not usually, we tried it one time. We've done simuls, Rocky, so yeah, definitely. Everyone can play. You can, if you're a lot better than me, you might kill me, and that's fine too, because it doesn't matter. What we're looking for is we're trying to get to the point where we are finding discovered, or double attacks in this case. We're just trying to find double attacks every time we can, every place we can, as easily as we can. All right, so that's good. It stops me from coming in here. I'd really love to get that pawn then, and then still be attacking this one. And so I think we will just attack the queen again. And now the queen does have this square, which starts making me hope for double attacks again. So, I've got to look for those. But I want to get him off of this pawn if I could, because I want to possibly get the queen here and come here. But we can't do it if his queen is sitting there. So let's go back here again. I know it's back and forth, but I don't think he's going to leave that pawn alone, but let's see where he goes. I still like it that this pawn is pinned eventually. Just don't see, I don't like him trading off the bishop. And he is Johnny on the spot, doing everything I'm thinking he might want to do, and he's doing it. So again, there is this attack on the queen. Doesn't really do me much. If I push him over there, that doesn't do me much. I got to get my queen out from behind my pawn. Really, I do. I want to attack. I really want to attack. So there's that pawn. I could attack twice by putting the queen here and letting him have this pawn because that pawn looks better. Although the rook does come right over. So that's not as good as I would hope for. Knight could pop up in here. That would be interesting. Let's go for that then at the moment. All right, running out of time. So I'm always watching. I know he's got this threatening mate here, so we're not going to make that mistake, right? That's not going to make that mistake. Make sure we don't make that mistake. He does have this move also, which is really sweet, except the queen hits it, so that doesn't work. Okay. So still looking to see, yep, we get that attack. We're just going to block. Again, since we anticipated, that makes it easy for us to find our next move, right? So if you anticipate your opponent's move, you can move faster than if you don't have any clue about what they might do. So you want to anticipate. You want to get ahead and anticipate. Okay, so that's going to come down and start some action. But can we get going faster than our opponent? We're going to see if we can. Don't think that does what I think it does. Don't think that does what I want it to do. That does, but then he just takes me off. So we're going to go here. Play quicker than slower and see what happens. Fun, fun, fun. Tense game. Queen f6. Hey, no back row driving. It's not cheating, but it's usually frowned upon. Mr. Mort, usually what happens is you would mute your mic so you can't hear. And usually there's enough of a lag that it won't help you. But yeah, usually you mute your mic so that you don't get to hear what your opponent's, in this case me, your opponent's thinking since we're actually playing live. It's kind of not totally unfair, but yeah, it's yeah, it's considered. We usually don't do that. All right, so didn't really want to do this, but I'm running out of time now, laughing, talking to you about those things. If I go there, I want to go there, but that still gives me that opportunity. So we're going to have to go with that. Okay. Very interesting situation. I don't remember even if I got back any of my pawns I was missing. So we'll see what happens. Excitement brewing. But yeah. What is my Lichess name? It's Tiberian, just Tiberian. So you just take off the 64. They already had the other one taken, so I couldn't do it. Very interesting. I like it. I like it. I like it. Queen could just take queen. You can get a check. So we can't allow that, right? Hey, can't allow that. Got to take the pawn. Unfortunately, got to take the pawn. It is Tiberian. I will be stopping at 10 as normal, but you know. I know, right? I know my structure and his, right? And it's his king is actually not. His king is safe behind all those pawns, but it's an interesting. This would be a great game to play a slower game on because there's so much going on still, so much to be figured out. All right, Queen says he's going over there. We don't have a lot of time, so we're going for this. We're going to see if we could take off his queen, right? That's always fun. Let's see if he'll give us the queen. Don't think he should. I think he should not give us the queen. But guess what we're setting up? We're setting up a discovered attack. And now he can't protect the bishop. So we get the bishop. And does he give up the... No, he doesn't give up the rook. Queen's on it. But we get back... So we gave up the knight for the pawn, but we get back the piece right away. This sacrifice, of course, doesn't work. The queen's out front. What he needed to have out front would have been the bishop taking, but he didn't have time because he would have lost his queen. And look at these open files coming at him. I don't know how he survives. I haven't even thought about it, but I think this should be checkmate. Good game. Good game. We do have time for one, Mr. Mort, if you want to go ahead and throw me a challenge. Maybe you already did. No, Roccolo beat you to it. 5 and 5. All right. And his rating mine. So me talking, you should win. Hey, Rocky, I see you beat oh, it was you, Rocky, that wanted to play. Yeah, your rating's higher than mine, so in essence, you should win this game, especially because I'm talking. I find I can't play fast, and I can't play fast when I'm talking. I play even worse. So thank you for joining us, though. Appreciate it. We work on basics for beginners and people teaching beginners. And as you'll see in the schedule, Mondays we do concept. We bring up a new concept and share it with everyone. And then on Wednesdays, we go over games that exemplify that concept. And then on Fridays, today, we get to play those games. So that's where we are today. We're playing those games. All right, guys, this one is per the opening. I got to keep the knight out. So I know I'm breaking the rule about non-center pawns. And I haven't even developed 3 of my pieces, but, you know, guy's high rated, and I got to at least play with that part of the concept of the opening. I can't let his knight get in here and just wreak havoc for too long. Sorry, I know my goal is to try to play by the principles every move, but sometimes you have to know the nuance of the opening, and so that's the nuance of this one, is that I needed to block that. So that's interesting. Hitting on here, we get opportunities. Possibly can have problems here too, because he takes the knight, he would remove the defender, right? So if I put the bishop here, okay, right, thinking, oh, I could trade off. No, because it's only got one piece defending it, and he can remove the defender. If I put the bishop here, he has some trick moves too, and that trick move is that you take here, black takes back, knight would normally come here with check, and then the queen would take the bishop. But this pawn keeps that knight, even if that knight could still get in there, but we get the knight for it, and we still get to keep the free piece. So we will go for the pin. I could be wrong on that analysis, by the way, but that's what we're going with. What is his rating or my rating, Mr. Mort? All right, so this is normal for this too, is where we're going to be able to back up and back. And so we're okay with that too. Oh, his rating, it shows that 2042. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm still on. That's kind of showing the clock along with the rest of the game. Seeing the whole game. Mine's just time ratings. You get it, of course, that's the same chess and on Lead Chess. So, yeah, his is 20 at this time control. Mine's 2020 at this time control. My screen is frozen. Hopefully, oh, it looks, we caught up. So there's, the guys can see the clock. Okay, we kind of knew this was coming. We'll see if he takes here. Yep, he goes there. So we're going to take, and he's going to take back, and then he gets to take with his bishop. So it'll be exciting. Really, I only have one choice, and the bishop pins the knight, which is a great move, right? Because we have troubles now. Bishop pins the knight. We could go here, but then we'd still have a pin. So if we go here, the queen takes, rook takes, and we'd still have a pinned knight, and he'd have 2 pieces attacking, and he'd win that piece. So we can't really do that. We can't move the knight, and so what I want to do is protect the knight, and I don't like it, but I don't see what else to do about it. And then he gets other nice moves like bishop. Well, no, that doesn't happen yet. He could lift the rook. I'd love to be able to counterattack and just say, you know, forget about it. Have my knight and let me attack your pawn. But I don't see any obvious attacks with the pawn to make that happen. I don't see anything obvious. Knight here doesn't win me anything. He just takes my queen, and the check is not even a check. Okay. So this is a good example why you get in trouble if you don't finish developing. Now, it is 3 minor pieces to 2, right? So I gotta be willing to give up the knight, right? I mean, okay. So he wins the knight. I'm up a piece. So I can't overly lament the knight. So now I'm thinking I can go here with the rook and block the bishop. If he takes, I take back, and that's what I got to be worried about because my king is pretty wide open. He can even come here and say check and win the pawn. No, he can't go there and say check because of this. So he's going to have trouble saying check and winning the pawn. And so let's try that. This is a speed game after all. We're going to block with the rook, and we have no choice. No choice whatsoever in any of that. Let's see where he's going to go. Okay, so he goes back up high. We could try coming here, and the reason I don't like that is the queen just comes here because the rook is holding it. So he gets in there easily. And then we'd have to back up, and then that pawn falls. I don't like that. So I think possibly the better move is here. And we'll try that. Same problems that we had to a degree, but now at least I have the queen and the king holding it. And now we found a way to attack this pawn. Nicely done. The knight is free to move though. So we're going to move. Just deciding if I want to push the pawn first, but then he gets the check, so I don't like that. So it looks like we have to come here. Defending is not fun, right? And as you find out right now, I'm on the defensive totally. He has all the momentum. And so it's hard to defend. It is not fun defending. But if you don't defend adequately, then you lose the game. Maybe this was better right away. That's my next move, thought of my next move, but again, playing a little fast. But yeah, maybe better here was to do this protection first, leaving that knight, hitting these 2 squares. Maybe. I'm worried about him just developing his knight and then getting his rook over here and doubling up on me. I think that's going to be pretty scary. Don't know what to do about that. But first things first is for me to get my knight out. I can take, if I can get both rooks for the queen, and then I have also a knight and I'm up on the knight and the bishop, I'll take that. That's definitely doable. Definitely in the game. Game's not over by far at that stage. All right, so he is threatening here, and I don't mind. I'll take twice, and so that's okay at the moment. I got to see what else I can get going, and what I think I can get going is a pin on the knight. Maybe win a piece, but maybe not. Oh, that's going to be bad. I just saw that if he comes here and I trade off everything, well, I take, right? He takes. Let me see about this again. I take, he takes. I take back with the rook. He'd win my knight. Yeah, and he'd win my knight. If I left it here, I had to mate. I had threats of mate. If he took the knight, then the rook would have come here with mate. So I missed that. That would have probably been better. Yeah, I don't like that I missed the chance for a mate. I feel bad about that. The bishop should have stayed. Bishop should have stayed. Interesting. Good game. Good game so far. Yeah, Mr. Mort. Yeah, normally it's you'd kill your sound at least on that end. Like I said, if you were looking, it didn't matter because it usually takes too long. So that's interesting. I was worried about the double attack and the mate threats, and now I could take. And after I take, I could. Let's see, I could even bring my queen up here and see if I can get action here. Do I want to take the knight? I kind of think I do. We're going to take the knight. And he ignores it for this one. Not bad. Not bad. So, I think we get to come here. This is good. Good game. Good game. Good exciting game. Gotta like it. All right, pinning here, which he has two pieces on. So no worries there. Expectations are high. That's a problem. I would love to be able to get my knight here to protect this knight twice. Yeah, that's a problem. If I come over here, he gets this check, and I don't have any good moves. So that's a problem. We have problems. Houston, we have problems. Let's see. This is still a threat, which was a threat actually right before that, except I would have taken his rook. Okay. Oh. I could take here, but it doesn't do me any good at the moment because he's too fast to get in here. And there is devastating. There is a loss right there. I don't see any way out of it. I'm checking. Queen can go here to save the game for the moment. Not really too long though. Queen takes here. Knight can come in front. Okay, let's at least make him earn it. We'll last for as long as we can. I'm thinking he should have this one. Oh, nicer. Missed a checkmate there. Nicely done. Good game. Excellent. Good game. Excellent job. All right, I have, believe it or not, 10 minutes. Wow, that clock is really bad. Time to change that clock, folks. You thought I was joking. I actually literally have to change the clock because it's like really bad. It's really off. All right, we can do one more possibly. Good job. Very good, Rocco. Well, Rocco. Very good, Rocco. Analog, yeah. Analog sometimes the best way to go, right? I don't have digital everything. Good job. Any more? Or any other questions? Any other thoughts? Just so you guys know, we are trying to get to 50 followers. We are currently at 34. So if you're enjoying yourself and you want to know when I'm on again, check the schedule. You don't actually have to follow. But if you want to follow, thanks. That can't hurt. It would actually help. We could play another one, but it's got to be quick too. So yes, we could do one more. Oh, I do see a challenge. Is it Rocco? No. Looks like Mr. Morto beat you to it this time, Rocco. And this is definitely, unfortunately, it's got to be my last one. But Rocky, come back next Friday when we play games. On Mondays, we go over the concepts. We don't play, actually. But actually, we're doing a tournament on oh, I'm sorry. I missed something. On Mondays, after we start, we will be doing a fun tournament where everybody will play for the concept, and that gives us games to go over the next day. So feel free to show up on Monday, and then we'll have a tournament, an open arena tournament, where everybody can play everybody, and you can see how it goes. So opportunity there. Don't miss it. I know the trick of the knight takes, so I feel like I have to take right away because I don't like that knight trick at all. Again, not moving this pawn because I'm not provoked. You could consider it provoked, but I'm going to consider it not provoked for the benefit of the class or the benefit of this group. Yeah, Rocky, like I said, it's late. I quit at 10 only because I'm old. I need my sleep. I need to be able to get some sleep. Modern Ancient may want to run some games. If he does, I'll raid you all over to him after this if he wants to do that. All right, so forgot when I played Rocky anyway. Got too focused on just playing. I've got to get back to what we're supposed to be looking for. What are we looking for? Double attacks, right, guys? So let's keep our mind open and eyes open for double attacks. That's all we're trying to do is find double attacks. So let's see if we can find those. And I am a great uncle. I'm a grandparent. I'm a great uncle. I'm just getting around. Get around. I get around. This is probably dangerous, but fun. So let's try it. But yeah, so Rocky, we do, like I said, open arena on Mondays, trying to play with the whatever tactic or concept we're working on. Wednesdays, we go over those games that were played on Monday, and that's at 11 a.m. And then on Fridays, as you see, for the 2 hours, what we do is we basically just practice by playing each other, and we play matches and see how it goes. So this is interesting, a little different. Let's play. It's fun. Always looking for opportunities for fun, but looking for double attacks and tactics. Working on tactics right now. So we've talked about no free candy. We've talked, as the list shows you up here. So no free candy, chase the king and queen when you can, and discovered attack, pins, and this week was double attack. So looking for all those double attacks. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, thanks, Mr. Mordo. Appreciate the follow. Appreciate it a lot. That gives us up to 35. Woohoo! Gotta like it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take back, of course. Can't, right? It's a fork, otherwise giving away a piece. We're not giving away a piece. All right, knight comes out, no problem there. We have some opportunities, some fun things we could try. Blah 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 blah. Got to develop our pieces. Let's do that first. I want to do other things. I really did. I had temptations. I was tempted. I was truly tempted to do other things, and I decided I just have to develop. Gotta develop. And we're looking for double attacks. All right, so no problem there. Logical comes out, develops. We're going to take here. We're going to give you 3 pawn islands. They're not really horrible, but we do have an isolated pawn. At least one of our pawns that we're looking at for you is isolated, so we're going to stick with that. I'm thinking you're castling queenside. That's my guess. That's truly my guess. So we're going to throw a check in there. And we have 2 knights and 2 bishops. Again, if you're a really strong player, you know, if you're an IM, if you're even probably a national master, and you see those 2 bishops, you're probably salivating happy like, this is great, I got 2 bishops, I'm ahead. At beginner level, which is what I teach beginners, the 2 bishops aren't half as important as they are when you're adept at using that advantage, right? I mean, you could probably see the advantage anyway. Right now, he's got 2 bishops raking down at me. So he just has to figure out how to take advantage of that. So he has a definite advantage, the fact that he has the 2 bishops. The question is, can he figure out how to get the most out of that, get the bang for that buck? Right now, we just went with an obvious double attack, right? Just free candy, we're shooting for a double attack. I like to be able to put my knight, attack the bishop, and see what other havoc we can cause, and I need to move it anyway. So the other choice was to take this bishop and get rid of one of the bishops, which probably, to be honest with you, probably would have just been better to get rid of one of the bishops so he only has a single bishop. And then a single bishop against a knight, it really gets tricky, and it depends on the game. If it's an open game with a lot of open squares, then it's fine. So now he's giving me a chance to get rid of that bishop anyway, and so I'm really tempted to just do that because, right, we probably want to trade off that bishop. We're going to trade off that bishop. Expect the queen to take back, and we're going to get our both rooks on center files, which is our only semi-open files we have are on here. So we're going to get our rooks onto the semi-open files, no place else, right? That's where they belong. Only chance the rooks have for really nice activity, so we're going there. All right, so he has a decided attack coming. When he moves this pawn, he's going to have an attack on my pawn, on my king. I am tempted to ignore it and play the knight here or here and see what havoc I can cause. But this discovered attack really isn't attacking anything yet. So I feel okay, and I'm also tempted to get my queen in here because his king is going to either have to back up. Then when I get that same attack, I'm going to go for it. We're just going to have some fun. So again, unfortunately, and it's late. So I try to play for fun sometimes too, but still looking for the things we're looking for. 15 more, yeah. 15 more to go. All right, so Mr. Moto and Rocky, that's the stuff we're working on as a group, and that's why we are where we are now. So look at this knight move again. It seems to work. If he pushes the pawn instead, I get to take the queen, threatening nastiness there. He gets to take with the bishop, and then he's going to have a discovered attack when he moves the bishop off. So I have to, if that were to happen, if he takes with the bishop, I got to have enough sense to get my queen off of the white square because I'd be in deep trouble. But it's tempting, so tempting to go for that. I'm going to try pushing this pawn. Yeah, we're going to push that pawn. My thought here is if he pushes this pawn, which is going to take it with the knight. If he pushes this pawn, we're going to, again, move our knight and block it up. If he comes after my queen, I do have squares to run away to. I don't have to stay here. I can go away. I'm allowed to, and I probably would run away. But if not, it gives me one opportunity to get that knight in it. Now, this pawn is not, right? This pawn is not protected by this. It is protected by the knight. But this is an absolute pin. All right, so we get that move, which is fine, right? Because he's looking at doubling up. It's got some potential. It protects this pawn. I'm so tempted to do this anyway. He still can't take. And if he can't take, where do I go after that, though, right? I like it, though, so we're going to go with it. I'm liking it because I'm also thinking the knight can come here and then back here afterwards. So besides the fact this pawn might be hanging, depending on where he puts his queen, this pawn might be hanging, but I can also come here to block this nastiness of doubled rooks that are being threatened on my kingdom. Hey, Taco Boy, you made it. What about c4? That push or the knight to c4? Yeah, the c4 was a threat that could have been tried. So I like taking here with the knight. Oh, wait, can't. See, you fall asleep sometimes, right? You're like, hey, what happened? I don't know. What are we doing? Well, we can't give away the queen. Probably a bad idea to give away the queen. Don't want to do that. And I didn't have that many good squares left, so we're just going to take. All right, now I can't really go here with my knight. Of course, here, looking for a double attack, but his rooks are not on the right squares. And he is still threatening that if he were to move, he can come here with his piece. So we are going to reconsolidate and see what we can get going with all these things. Because again, it's knight against the bishop. Bishop is better in the open squares. Oh, look at that. Nice. Nice. Not a free piece at all, but we can slide over here. Let's see. That could be a double attack. Always looking for double attacks. If he moves his rook here, then that's definitely a double attack, except he'll be threatening some nasty checks first. So we're going to have to deal with the nasty checks first before we can take advantage of a forkable position. Mr. Morto is playing pretty good. And Taco Boy, we got to get your lesson lined up. Maybe Sunday. Oh, he pushed it again. Just a coming and running. No fear. Okay, since he has no fear, we're going to trade off that bishop. Because I don't see how he stops me from taking off that bishop. And so if we can get rid of that bishop, bring the king out, we might have chances. Because the bishop while the knight can hop around, the bishop has that bishop long range, and the way the board is set up right now, I'm just feeling like the long range is going to be better for him than me, and I see that I actually can win a pawn. We need pawns, because, right, it was way too even. We need the pawn. Didn't even notice the pawn. I only noticed the bishop, but the pawn was free candy. So again, even me, I forget and miss free candy, guys. And I'm not under time pressure, so that's just poor. I gotta see the free candy. So now this is getting very interesting. This is getting into endgame territory. We can start by protecting the pawn, and then we're going to still try to double up because that's how you can have your rooks be effective. All right. Now if I go here, interestingly enough, he could take here. I would take, and then it would get interesting. But again, this is our passed pawn. So I'm thinking we're going to push our passed pawn as much as we're allowed. That's what pawns want to do. Pawns want to go forward. Taco Boy, hey Taco Boy, you didn't hear it. I'm going to be a great uncle. My nephew is going to have, well, he's not going to have the baby. I'm sure it's his wife. All right, interesting choice. Because now I'm thinking I push all the way. And yeah, I'm thinking I push all the way. Of course, there's this push also. Kind of like that push. If he pushes, then take, and you take back with the rook, and you win another pawn. Okay, let's go with that push. Although now that I see it, oh no, that doesn't work because we just take it. Right? If he pushes, we just take, so we're okay. And I'm okay with my king. I'm okay with him even getting a check back here. The king can pop up, so I'm not worried about that either. Not at least not at the moment. I might get worried about it later, but right now I'm not feeling worried. And I do want to get my rook here now because the rook is anchored, so I don't have to worry about the king taking it, and I want to double up rooks. Rooks want to be doubled. His rooks are doubled up. My rooks want to be doubled up. His rooks are doubled up on a semi-open file, while I'm going to try to get mine doubled up on an open file. Just minor difference there. Hopefully, more to my advantage. I'm happy. Oh, and we're okay with. We're okay with this. Now we can't take because we would just take with the king, of course. Okay, so he pulls up. Now the question is, if he takes, we could be taken back with the pawn. We could take first. He would take. We would take. He would take back with the king. Get the pawn all the way here, and then my king can start coming out to fight. And we actually have time for me to figure this out. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately. He takes. I take. We definitely can't let him take because then he would win a pawn. So we have to take. I don't really see any way around that. So let's start with the take. Then we don't have to take back, but actually I don't see any reason not to. Now questions come in. Do we move our king first or the pawn first? So I have a whole nother move to throw the pawn in next. So the king can go first. If the pawn goes first, he still can't really do that, I don't believe. We get there. So many. And this one is easy. Not easy, but I love endgames. And I love endgames because you can just figure them out. You can just take your time and you should be able to figure them out. And so I should be able to get a passed pawn over here, which would tie his king down. How do I get the passed pawn? Well, if I go 1 and he takes, I'm happy, right? Sort of happy. Actually, if he takes, I'm pushing past. If he doesn't take, he could push, and then that's annoying because it takes my king time to get there. So I think my goal is to push 2 here and still lock down that other side eventually. I think we're going to have this rook pawn be able to run. Okay, we're just going to go with this for lack of taking the time to really figure it out. Endgames are something that you can study and get really good at, and there's no reason not to study and get better. Yes, passed pawns must be pushed. I don't know who you're quoting, but it's a good quote. They want to be pushed. They're dying to be pushed. Push them. Totally agree. And let's see, right now, so this is where I was thinking we're not going to take. Wow, I don't want to take, but if I don't take, he gets 1 move, I come up, and then he gets to block it in. So if I go 2, let's see, if I go 2, he goes 1. If he goes 1, I go. Does his king get there in time? Yes, his king would get there in time. But does he have time to protect this pawn? So, but his pawn would still end up here. So no, we're not doing that. Ah, his pawn would, he would catch my pawn, I would catch this pawn, but that's all. And I don't want to do that. So that was a very good move on his part. So now we got to run. We got to get over here. We definitely got to get over here. I should have pushed that pawn was my first thought, if you remember. I think that would have been better. So this is interesting because I get to make a passed pawn. So we're going to make a passed pawn. When you can make a passed pawn, make a passed pawn. Pawns want to be passed. They want to go forward. So I think better was him just coming here. Interesting. Oh, interesting. If we take, he takes, and we kind of get into a situation. If I push and he push, I get to step up. I kind of like that. Again, maybe it's not the right move, but I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Pawns want to be pushed. They want to go down to the other side. Okay, expected. And now I can push here first because he still can't do anything with this. And I still have a move to throw away. I still have this move. And you want to save this move. He should have seen if he could save that move. I want to save this move because it's a move that will get me the opposition back. We just, like I said, started working on that with our class on Thursday. You got to learn about the opposition and getting and keeping the opposition, and that will give. Okay, so we come here. So now we could come here. If he goes there, we take. We can never take this pawn anyway because that pawn would run. He can never take my pawn because that pawn would run. So we're kind of, both of our kings are kind of stuck where we can't take the backward pawn. So the game is actually, in my mind, mostly going to be over here. But and giving up ground is okay. If I make the mistake of coming here, that pawn just runs and runs and runs. So we can't do that. Now I can push here. If he takes, I take, pawn pushes. I still don't get back in time. Here, nope, I don't get back in time. So I can't push this pawn. So I'm feeling drawn, guys. I'm feeling this one's going to be a draw. Even with the extra pawn, like I said, I should have gotten my pawn here so he couldn't lock this up. So I missed out on that opportunity. He can never come forward. I can never come forward. I'm going to offer him a draw. It should be a draw. So we'll see. Sometimes people don't agree. All right, so this is one of those that we had before, didn't we? Oh, good. We'll just do 3-move repetition. It'll be a draw still. And yes, it is a draw. Good game. Very good game. Good game, Mr. Morto. Good game, guys. Good evening. I hope everyone got something out of it. We're looking for double attacks from it. See you hopefully Sunday. We're going to do a one-on-one lesson with the Modern Ancient at 1 o'clock. I actually added that to my schedule since we've been doing it on a regular basis. So hopefully we'll see you Sunday. And Monday we have our new concept we'll be covering, which who knows, I might even introduce it with the Modern Ancient, although I'm looking at specifically on what he needs to work on. Taco Boy, get with me so we can plan a date for your lesson. Alrighty, guys. We will see you all on the flip side. Have a good night. Now I'm just waiting for it to even wake up and let me end my stream. I know I can close other windows while we wait for it to finally catch up.